Okay, thank you. We scheduled this meeting as a request from last week, just to provide a safety update and review of our front entrances, not just for this building, but just required front entrances for safety. So just to follow up with our district committee.
And the request was also, was really not that, it was regarding the incident itself.
Yep.
What happened.
And actually the incident, but actually what we're doing to moving forward with changes.
That's fine.
From what I was told. Because
Okay.
that was the time I left the room for literally 2 minutes.
Yep.
Not even.
Okay.
So thank you. So I asked Dr. Levatino and Mr. Morgan to come to provide an update to this committee on, for the request from last week, to talk about just how, what happened last week.
Yep.
Again, we talked about it, and just that our safety procedures
Sure.
well, and proposals for some changes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I'll go.
Thank you.
I'll read some, of course, and then I'll also just have open discussion. Fortunately for us, or unfortunately, the incident did occur. However, our responsibility as the safety officers is to have district safety team meetings, minimally one each semester. So this past semester, just happened to fall right after this incident. So if there was any good out of this, it gave us some time to talk. So this is the agenda of what happened. It was June 11th. We had this district safety team meeting. You can see those were in attendance. Just so if you have a question, I always request that Mr. Amoroso attend, so that if there's any technology initiatives, concerns, security issues regarding technology, he comes. So it outlines who was there. I won't.
Excuse me, can I ask you a quick question? So how come Jennifer wasn't there? Isn't she a building principal?
Yes.
Just.
Yeah, I think there was a
Okay.
conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, there was something going on.
Okay.
And if we can just focus specifically on the Bradley
Yes,
incident.
so we will. Thank you. I won't go through all that. But it is for your review, which I think is good for the BG&T to see what we talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so getting to number 2, the incident at Bradley Elementary School. We reviewed the front entrance procedure, because you could see at Bradley Elementary School there was an incident, and the front greeter there expressed some major concerns because of this incident that happened. My understanding, and Mr. Morgan, you can jump in here, of the incident that happened was a gentleman wanted to come in or did come in to the vestibule and asked to see our superintendent of schools. This gentleman had a letter of restraint with regard to being on school district property, any location. The result of that, going into great detail, was because of an incident that happened back in the fall at one of our elementary schools. All right, so we took appropriate action then. The follow-up, hi Mr. Petrowski, and there's where we are. So the gentleman was a little concerned that he wasn't allowed, did not have a scheduled appointment, was not allowed in, was not a happy camper. All right, so we dealt with him. The police were made aware of it, and they proceeded from there because he did violate that order. All right, so that's a police issue. I'm letting them take care of that.
Now, this is the same guy that the police had taken unregistered and illegal guns out of his house on 2 separate occasions, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
So, and just to follow up a little bit on that incident also, just what happened back to that day.
Yeah.
He did go in there, requested to meet with the superintendent. Terry has been trained, although she did provide him with a telephone to actually speak with the superintendent's secretary, and he wasn't here, so he handed the phone back to her. And she didn't even, I asked her, I said, did you have to ask him to leave? And she said, no, he just left on his own. So I just want to clarify that.
Yes.
He came in, he was acting a little strange, but
no threats.
No threats.
No threatening behavior.
He left on his own. She didn't even have to ask him.
Did she know that he had a restraining order?
I can't.
It wasn't a restraining order, right? He was just banned from the
No,
school by Bob, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
but she didn't know that, whatever it
I
was.
think that she had.
I will tell you that there.
Everybody had the picture.
From the October incident.
Okay.
Which I personally distributed to every front greeter.
Okay.
I can assure you of that. And we would do that for any situation.
Right, good, okay.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get.
No,
I
please,
just
great.
wanted to clarify that there was no threat made.
Right.
He wasn't acting like,
Right.
overly.
And he left willingly.
And he left on his own because he didn't get his way. So.
What did you guys know? What spurred the call to the SRO?
When she realized, it must have been when she realized who he was, or when she spoke with Betty Heil, that
they realized.
They
notified.
made a connection.
Oh, the name, so he
Notified,
mentioned his name, so they knew.
Right.
Okay.
Which
So that's why
is
she
something to be
called.
proud of, because,
Absolutely.
you know, even in law enforcement, you know, it's not as easy as, it's not TV.
Okay.
So, but the reality of it was that our systems we had in place ended up working.
What happened after that? After he left?
Well, they called, go ahead.
The SRO was contacted. I can personally speak for Peter Coburn, who's our lead SRO, because I personally spoke with him. And he did his diligence, and they did their police thing, tracked this gentleman down, brought him in, and did their police thing then with regard to violating the order. I don't know the outcome.
But they tracked him down somewhere in this, in the
Yes,
town?
they did.
At the village?
At his home. They did
From
find
what
him.
we heard, I don't want to say what
Right.
exactly happened.
Well, I don't know, but I know that was the process.
Okay, now, was there any action at that time for a lockdown or anything like that? What time of the day was this?
No threat.
No, there was no threat, there was no, my understanding is no, there was, like Mary said, he left willingly, voluntarily, there was no specific threat against anyone, let alone kids. So as long as, the problem is this, the problem is we move from school property, the police take over and handle it from there.
Okay, but, so what time of day was this?
I believe it was the afternoon, I can't, did you bring the follow-up report? Because there have been multiple reports to the board, I didn't bring that.
Okay.
Because I thought we were.
Oh,
talking about
I got
what we're
one.
doing.
Right.
Moving forward, okay, so moving forward,
Moving forward, so, just like we're having here, we discussed this incident.
Well, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand. This guy was determined to be the guy that you banned from the school. He was determined to be the guy that had illegal, it was significant enough to ban from the school. This is the guy that had illegal gun caches removed from his home on 2 separate occasions. And we know that he leaves, and we don't do anything as far as lockdown or anything like that goes. I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea.
We were locked. No, we're locked down, building perimeter is locked. Like it always was.
I can't.
From a building principal point of view, lockdown as in our current measures as the school.
Well, as in the guy
always locked down.
left, we know he's got guns, we know he's been banned from the school, and my understanding is there was kids on the playground.
Okay, I do not know that, but I would tell you that as the principal of the school, I would like law enforcement inform me that there was a reason to lock down. My understanding was that Dr. Fuscher had no reason to lock the school building down during that time. Lockdown meaning lock the doors, lock down in place our emergency plan versus the doors already locked. The gentleman had already left, so he
Right.
wasn't in the school complex.
Okay, but we did have kids on the playground. Hey, it's fine, she made a judgment call not to lock down, okay?
And she may have received, I don't know, I can't
She
answer
may
the
have,
question. Did she receive
I-
information from the
I do
police
know-
that
I do
they
know she
had
had
him
dialogue, yes.
apprehended
They had
right
yes.
away?
Right, and I did too, and then I also personally contacted all the principals myself, just to make, and they all knew already.
Right.
So I just happened to be reiterating what
Okay.
Investigator Colbert had told us.
All right,
Okay?
yeah.
so going forward,
Thank you. So going forward, we had this discussion back on June 11th at our district safety team meeting, and we reviewed it. So a couple of things took place. We wanted to look at additional options to increase safety measures in the front greeter. There you go, Mr. Dole. You're welcome. Front greeter positions. So they're unique. One, well, let me just read it. So I reported out that I personally contacted, with Mr. Morgan's permission, Tom Holzer, to get prices to give us some estimates on some different options we can do to enhance security. Here at Bradley, here at Perry Junior High School, and the high school, and the senior high school. We didn't do the 2 elementary schools, Hughes and Miles, because their process right now is, if a person enters their vestibule, there is no window. The person is seen via a camera and an intercom, so they don't have immediate access, okay? So they're seen, but not seen, so to be buzzed in, okay? The other 3 buildings, there's that window. Use Bradley as the example. So Mr. Holzer, we asked him to do a couple of things and give us some estimates. One was to relocate the camera system and the intercom system essentially outside. The intercom system and the buzzer system would be moved from the interior door of the vestibule to the exterior door, meaning before you're buzzed in, you're outside.
Like Hughes.
No, because Hughes and Miles, they are allowed in the vestibule.
Oh, they are?
Yes, but they're not, there's no window there.
Okay, right.
Is that?
Right, that's where the intercom is in the
Correct.
vestibule. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yes, all right, but the other 3, it's that they're seen because of a window. So, I don't know, do you want me to go through the detail of the pricing, Mary, or just, okay. So, I have it here, essentially, the cost to do this would be $1,215 to relocate the door intercom with the entry, and another $1,500, this is per school building.
Per school.
Yes, to install the electric power supply, push button, to do everything electrical outside. So essentially $2,800. So I presented that to our building safety committee. All right, we're all sitting around, correct? Mr. Morgan then came up, and that's his role, he came up with two other options for us as the safety committee to consider. The first option was simply to block those windows and brick them up, okay? That they would have to come in, be buzzed in, there'd be no visual. That would be
Similar to what the other two elementary.
yes,
Gotcha.
similar to the, right.
Gotcha.
The second option was to rebuild the current window setup, as it was pointed out, that it could be, the structure could be enhanced, it could be made more secure, we could put bulletproof glassing in, a more secure environment. After we discussed this, Mr. Holzer was then asked to give us an estimate to do this with bulletproof glass, and he said somewhere between $900 to $1,000, but you're verifying that, correct, Mr. Morgan? But it's no more than the other option.
Per school.
Per school. By the end of the discussion, the entire committee, the recommendation was to go with the second option, essentially upgrading the current window process that we have in all three of those schools.
So it would be a window still, but a bulletproof window?
Correct. And like at Perry, to be honest, it's very solid. Here it's good, it's not as solid. So it would be an upgrade, not just bulletproof, it would be more secure.
Yep.
Right?
Part of the conversation was based on the fact that moving the intercoms to the exterior set of doors in the vestibule would require visitors during harsh winter conditions to sit out in the cold.
Mhm.
People waiting, and we thought that was a little bit of a inconvenience,
Yeah.
especially since they've had the vestibule, as small as it is, or as large as it is, to kind of congregate there, and then we would kind of have an upgrade equal to all schools.
Makes sense.
With bulletproof glass in substitution for the brick wall.
I mean, if they're gonna shoot out the front, the first door, they're gonna shoot out the second door
Correct.
too.
And you have that slowing down process.
Right. And that really had an effect here at Bradley, because there's not even an overhang outside. At least at Perry in the senior high, there's a little overhang that they could hang out.
Right.
Still would be cold,
Right.
but they wouldn't be stuck in
Right.
the rain.
But
Right.
in those three incidences where we're talking about the three schools, it would be the glass in front of the greeter, not the front doors, not the interior.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but my point is that even if you have some gunman, for example, out there, having an intercom out there, he's gonna shoot that door out if he really wants to get in, you know what I mean, and he's gonna shoot that second, so even if he comes into the vestibule, he's gonna try to get in some kind of way.
Right.
But the bulletproof glass at least protects the receptions.
Well, and as Peter Colbert has embedded in my mind, in my role as the safety coordinator, one of them is time is the most critical thing, because time may not necessarily prevent him getting in or her getting in, but it does save lives.
Yep.
It also allows us, all those three schools have shades, something's going on, they're locking up, pull the shade, no one knows where that person's going from there, they can get out of there.
Good.
We installed this year the shades, the buzzers, panic button, if you will,
Right.
for lack of a better term, additional cameras, monitor. Terry ended up getting a new monitor so she could see the multiple new cameras. So there have been significant upgrades to safety this school year.
And there is
So
outside
This
cameras.
will just be enhanced, correct.
There's outside cameras in all three of those places,
Right,
right?
and she has a monitor.
All
that
five, that's
picks
what I
that
mean,
up.
yeah.
So it's just another enhancement.
Sure, great.
And speaking now as putting my principal hat on, specifically at Perry, the setup, I don't think there's any better. I mean, thanks to your team, Mr. Morgan. I mean, we're visual, there's cameras outside, we're able to have clear visual to see who's coming in, who's not. Once they're even in, there's another additional process as far as signing in and everything, so I'm content with that. So this is an enhancement.
Great.
So at the end of the discussion, the entire committee felt that option was to go, and here specifically, Dr. Fuscher, the principal of Bradley, was in agreement with this.
So just again, the schools that will be getting this will be Bradley, the high school.
And the senior high,
And.
and the senior high school,
Right,
and
high
Perry.
s- Oh, Perry, high school,
Yes,
Bradley.
right.
Okay.
So, picture coming to see me, Mrs. Phillipson, that window, everything would look, you're not gonna really know much,
Right.
except that window's gonna be replaced with an enhanced bulletproof glass.
Gotcha.
All right?
Gotcha.
At the two other elementary schools, they don't need that, because they don't have that window in the vestibule.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Just a suggestion. If it's $900 a window, why not? while we're at it, you know what I mean, while we're at it, get them all done, that's just a thought.
Well, I think.
Remember, the other two do not have windows.
They don't have
So they'd
windows
be
at all.
digging
They
out
have
the
brick
concrete.
walls.
Oh, they don't have any windows?
No, there's
That's
not.
all they do in
It's
this
a
grade.
solid.
Gotcha.
Right, that's
Gotcha.
why, otherwise it
Put a
would have
window,
been.
we're putting a window on the
Gotcha.
brick wall.
Yeah.
We would have done that.
The
Right.
request was really just for Bradley, but
Gotcha.
what we had talked about
That's
was, we have 2 other locations, we consider it local, we always consider the
Right.
big picture and
Right.
district-wide. So
Fantastic.
that's why we're presenting the other 2 buildings.
The window, this morning, I spoke with Reader Bradley, talked about what type of window she would like, because they still have an incident. We still have a need for parents to drop off books, lunches, shoes, so we'll probably try to look at a single operating window that lifts up, takes stuff out and locks back down. So I'll ask the other 2 if they want that. Probably Perry doesn't want that. I'll do something like that over the next.
Yeah, I'm dropping off cookies on a regular basis.
Exactly.
From Hannaford, so.
What size is the tray?
I'm not big.
Yeah, the road is the address.
And to conclude, I will say that at my BOCES principals meetings, my own visits to my first grader school over in Whitesboro and friends out in the VBS district that I speak with, there's not much better systems out there. Okay, they're either the same, not as effective. I mean, it is what it is.
Great, yep.
So we do our research.
Yeah, good,
Thanks.
good, great,
Okay?
okay.
The only thing I'd say is that possibly a review of, a band guy, guns, acting strangely, make the connection. I don't know what, I don't know what triggers a lockdown, I don't know, but possibly, even if the police doesn't, you don't get a hold of them and recommend it, but possibly action, regarding that, hey, get the kids off the playground.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or lock down for whatever time it takes. That's just a thought.
Well,
Dr. Levitino discussed that again with Dr. Fletcher.
Yes.
Uh,
We will. But a lot of that is also incorporated and embedded in the secretarial front-end training, which is coordinated through our BOCES, which we do every fall. So, yes. So we're learning from many different avenues.
Good, I know you're on top of everything.
We
Good.
try.
I know,
Yes.
good.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Mary, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.